going on, YouTube? Thought I'd give you some thoughts today about equipment for beginners or people who really don't know too terribly much about buying guitar equipment. Now, anybody who's been playing for a long time knows that you end up spending a lot of money and wasting money if you don't know what it is that you're looking for in the beginning. So this video is aimed for the person who is thinking about getting into guitar and seriously taking it, to the next level, and somebody who may be advancing from a beginner who bought maybe like $100 guitar to start out on to the point where you're getting to the point where you're getting good. You need something a little bit better than what you're playing. Okay, so first thing that you're going to want to consider is what type of music you're going to be playing. If you're going to be playing everything, you need a versatile guitar. If you're only going to be playing like death metal, you're going to need like a Charvel or something like that it is made for that particular type of music. But one thing that I always recommend to people who ask, people at church, people who I know who are getting into playing and stuff like that, I always recommend Fender, because Fender is one of those companies where, granted, you're going to have some variations between the different lines and stuff like that, and you're also going to have some variations within the same product line as far as Mexican versus American and so on and so forth. You're going to get pretty consistent results, and every now and then you can get a dud instrument with any company, but I think Fender's quality control is pretty decent. But I would try to stay away from the Squiers. I've only ever owned one Squiers whenever I first started, and one thing that I noticed was after a while the string tension got to be so much on the neck that it started cracking right around here and pulling away from the body. So that's something that you're definitely not going to want. Plus they use inferior woods like, basswood and stuff like that, and if you're looking for an instrument for the long haul, you're going to want something that's going to last. And while basswood is kind of resonant, it doesn't have that deep of a sound quality. The sound character to me just isn't there. Some people love it. I'm just not one of them. But if you can afford it, buy the best instrument that you can. Some people have this philosophy that if you're starting out, and you're not that good yet, you don't need that great of an instrument. If you can't afford it, okay, get the best that you can afford. But if you can't afford it, you're planning on sticking with it for a while, then get the best instrument that you can afford, because better instruments play better. They're easier to play. It's going to make you want to play more. If you play on an instrument that is subpar, it's hard to play, you're not going to want to learn, and you're not going to want to practice, which means that you're not ever going to progress and probably end up giving it up. As far as what I use, my main gigging guitar is this Fender Strat. Now, this is a Highway 1 series Strat. They say that they're American made. I think they resemble more of the Mexican Strats. They definitely sound better than the Mexican Strats. The necks definitely play a lot better. And the overall quality is better, but it's not really on par with my American Standard Strat. Now, with this guitar, you can play pretty much anything you want to play. You can play anything from R&B to funk, blues, soul, country. Doesn't matter. I tend to like maple necks because they're a little bit brighter, a little bit more twangy. I like to cut through a lot more than some guitars do. So this particular one, it has Tex-Mex pickups in it, and the pickups that came in it they weren't that great. So I dumped the electronics that were in here and did some minor upgrades. Of course, you're going to want to upgrade the tuners in some of the the lower models, but this guitar ran about $730. You can get them for lower than that. They've discontinued this line, but honestly, this is one of the better guitars that I've owned. It's a workhorse. It's got this nice satin finish on it that if you accidentally bump it into something, it's not going to look bad after a while. And it's just a beautiful playing guitar. The next one that I have is pretty much my number one. This is my baby, the one that I play with all the time. This is an American Standard Strat. Now, as you can see, I've done a few things to it. These guitars, if you can afford one, you can buy them used from anywhere from $600 usually to like $850. They retail about $1,000 to on up to like maybe $1,200, $1,300 brand new. But if you can afford to get one of these used, this is what you need to be looking for. Of course, I always tell people play the instruments. I mean, just because it's American standard doesn't mean that it's a great guitar. Play it and see how you like it and see how it feels. This particular neck, the only thing I really don't like about this guitar is it's got the glossy finish on the neck. I kind of prefer the satin finish like that's on this strap back here, but still a great playing guitar. This one's very warm sounding guitar. Some of the things I've done to it, I've got two SHR Seymour Duncan hot rail pickups in the neck and middle position, and that's just because I do play some jazz fusion and stuff like that, and do use distortion, and single coils don't really sound that great whenever you put distortion on them. So I upgraded to the two Seymour Duncans. These run about $80 a piece. In the bridge, I've got a JB Junior. A lot of people who play guitars that have humbuckers in them usually use a JB in the bridge and maybe a Jazz in the neck as far as Seymour Duncan pickups go. And the JB is really bright. It's really bright and it handles distortion well. So I've got a JB Junior here, which is basically like a humbucker in a single coil slot, and great pickup, great pickup. I usually play in most of the time the first and bridge positions on together, and the way that I'm able to do that is these guitars have a 5-position switch right here. The first position gives you neck only, second position gives you neck and middle, third position gives you middle only, fourth position gives you middle and bridge, and then last position just gives you bridge. But I have this extra switch right here, if you can see it, that allows me to get 2 other options. And the 2 other options are I can play these 2 together, or I can click it all the way back and play all 3 pickups together, which is something you can't do with the regular Strat. So this is one of the most versatile instruments I have ever played. But like I said, I mean, if you can't afford an American, you can try to go with a Mexican. Mexicans are pretty good. You just have to play them and see what you like, what it sounds like, how it plays and stuff like that. Every now and then you can luck up and get one that plays as well as an American Strat, and you know, sometimes you get one that plays like a Mexican Strat. So you just have to play them and see, you know, what it is that you like. I know that on my channel I've played a bunch of other guitars and stuff like that, and you've seen me play Paul Reed Smith, an Ovation, another Fender, Gibson. I mean, all of those are great guitars, but you know, I'm a Fender guy by trade. So something else too, as far as protecting your instruments, whenever you go on gigs, whenever you go to church, whenever you go jam with friends and stuff like that, stuff happens to your stuff. I mean, whether you knock it into a table, somebody sits on it, somebody drops something on it, you spill something on it. So you want to try to protect your instruments. So that's why I use these Reunion Blues gig bags. I'm not really big on carrying hard shell cases or molded cases. So I went ahead and dropped, I think, about $150 on this gig bag, which, I mean, this thing is almost as solid as a molded case is. Open it up. You got a lot of protection for your guitar on the inside. Even has this Velcro thing here to hold the neck in place. And actually, this kind of padded pillow thing they have here keeps the guitar from grounding out back here in the case, and it actually keeps the guitar in tune really well. So it's one of the things I love about it. And you got plenty of storage in here. I mean, you can store all your nonsense. It's even got, you know, place to store cables, papers, whatever you want to do. So now, as far as amplification, I have a couple of amps. I use a Fender Twin most of the time. I also have a Fender Deluxe Reverb. But if you're just practicing in the bedroom, you don't need to be that loud, don't really have the money to go drop, you know, on a $1,200 or $1,300 amp, I recommend Fender's Frontman series of amps. Over here, I've got a Frontman 25R, which is, it's not the smallest one, it's a 25 watt amp. Sounds really good clean. Distortion doesn't handle that too well, but as far as just a little practice amp, I mean, something that you can play with yourself, play with your friends and stuff like that, maybe in a living room or garage. It's a great amp. Effects, one thing that I will tell you to stay away from. Some people swear by them, I'm not one of those people. Stay away from multi-effects units. I know that not everybody can run out and drop $100 on a pedal, to use with their guitar, but you get what you pay for. If one Boss pedal costs you $100, you go out and buy a Boss unit for $300 that has all the sounds and stuff that are programmed into this one unit. You definitely are going to get what you pay for, and I would recommend probably saving up the money, holding off on the effects, and just really, really, really you buying what it is that you want. Because that's one thing that I've learned over the years. I've wasted a lot of money on guitar equipment that I thought was cool at the time, but then whenever I got a little bit better, I realized that it wasn't exactly up to par. So my main thing is save up for what it is that you want in the beginning. Of course, have something to learn on, something to play. Like I said, get what it is that you can afford, but try to buy the best. And there's plenty of channels on YouTube and stuff like that where guys show you how to do a lot for not that much money, and that's great. But in the long run, whenever it comes to things lasting, things holding up, if you buy quality, you'll definitely get your money's worth out of it. But if you have any questions, any gear questions, any type of just general advice that you need whenever you're starting out and you're along your guitar journeys, just shoot me a direct message, or you can leave a comment and do whatever you need to do. But be blessed, and don't forget to subscribe.